It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, I hope you're doing all right. Got a busy show scheduled for today. But first, the show is being brought to you in part by Cat's nationwide luxury transportation service. If you're looking for a limo in someplace in the United States or even Canada, and you want a really hot driver driving you around, well, then you need to give my girl Cat a call. 202-351-7496 is how you get a hold of her. Tell her Billy C sent you. But just remember, she's my girl. 202-351-7496. The show's also being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. Tell them Billy C sent you. And, by the way, I pick up the consultation fee, 845-221-4099. The show is also being brought to you in part by my friends down at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Call ahead for a dinner reservation if you want. 518-792-4869. That's 518-792-4869. Don't forget, great people, great food, drink specials all the time, and, of course, live entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights. Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. 518-792-4869. And finally, the show's being brought to you in part by Ringside.com. That's right, for all your boxing equipment needs. There's only one place to go. That's Ringside.com. Tell them Billy C sent you and demand a Billy C discount. And don't forget, for all you guys that buy equipment in bulk, boxing equipment, that is, whether you're a gym owner, maybe a trainer, I don't know, maybe just like to collect boxing equipment, drop me an email, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I will hook you up with even a bigger and a better discount from Ringside.com. But don't forget, for all you onesie-twosies, man, Ringside.com. And by the way, if you're looking for some Christmas gifts at Ringside.com, especially for a young fighter, they got a amateur special going on for like $30. So check it out, www.ringside.com. Speaking of Christmas gifts, don't forget, who wouldn't want as a Christmas gift a reserved copy of my book? That's right, my book that's coming out, special deal, signed copy, personalized, the whole nine. Visit the website, www.billycboxing.com. Go into the Billy C Book Club and get the info there. Or you could just email me directly, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. You definitely want to get a early copy of the Tom Molyneux book that's coming out, or at least reserve a copy, because there has been a delay on the coming out of that. And also, I think everybody, really, if you want to support this show, I mean, the best thing you could do is give a premium podcast subscription out to everyone on your Christmas list. You can fit in a stocking, can fit under the tree. You could put like a little, card that says you got a year's worth of Talking Boxing with Billy C, and put it in a big box, make them think they got something, huge, and then throw them the $15 podcast subscription. And I tell you what, it's the gift that keeps on giving. 10 hours a week minimum, plus all the specials for $15. I mean, come on, man. You could save a ton of money by giving everyone on your Christmas list the premium podcast of the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. So check it out. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want to listen to the show again, But anyway, I want to apologize to all the podcast listeners out there, or the podcast subscribers, I should say. It's back up and running. The podcast company, the host company that we work with, and I just want you to know, all we do is, post the shows. They handle everything else. I mean, their support used to be great, and all of a sudden it's kind of gone down the tubes. They're always like, giving you these canned responses. It just keeps you. It's a circle jerk, is what they do. But nonetheless, the story goes like this. Once upon a time, there was this podcast company, and they decided to upgrade all their servers, and they chose to do it on a Monday, which was kind of stupid in my opinion. And they were down all day Monday, all day Tuesday, and most of the day yesterday. But fear not, finally got everything up and running, and all three shows, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, are all up on the website. And speaking of all the days, I had gotten, I had teased you guys last week or whatever, and gave you the my Christmas special, the Christmas poems or whatever we did, and I tell you, there was a couple of people that know the show and have heard them before and everything else, and they want to know where's the one where I really made myself look like an idiot. I said, I thought I looked like an idiot with the first two, but no, there is another one. And it's from 2009. It was our version of the 12 Days of Christmas, and talk about embarrassing. But I will play that sometime during the show today. So make sure you mark this one down. I'm sure you're going to want to cut this piece out of the show and send it around and embarrass me. But hey, I did it in 2009, so I guess I could take it. So anyway. I want to start off by saying this. We got some emails, and listen, people are getting pissed that I'm not really getting into these emails the way they're written, because I've gotten so many over the last couple of weeks, actually over the last month or so. With longtime listeners and diehard boxing fans that like the large scope of it, not only fighters from today but also fighters from yesteryear, and even discussion on possible future champions and what have you. And the general consensus is they can't stand the talk between who and Manny Pacquiao, and both sides are just as nauseating. The diehard who fans and the diehard Pacquiao fans are just so blind to reality, in my opinion. Now, I want to set the record straight. Yes, I've admitted that I don't like who, but not because of his boxing skill. I'm not going to take that away. But on the other hand, I'm not a big fan of Manny Pacquiao. Yes, I like Manny Pacquiao. I think he's exciting. I think that the majority of the people like to go watch him. They like to pay a price of admission or a pay-per-view to watch him, just like they do who. I just personally find that he's more exciting, to me, my opinion. I don't need any more. Look at the records. Look at the comparison. He's a fraud. He's this. He's that. He's not. Neither is who. I've never said that Floyd was a Floyd. Floyd is a Floyd. That Floyd was a fraud. I just don't like the guy outside the ring. End of story. And I can't. I'm not going to talk about him unless he's scheduled to fight or unless he gets arrested for something or whatever. I'll even talk about him if he gives turkeys away or something, if he does something good, but until that, I'm not going to talk about it. And I don't want anybody to take it personal that I'm not going to read the emails, because I very rarely don't read an email. And I just can't do it, man. I just can't constantly, point out the same stuff, I don't know what else to say, So it's nothing against you, the listeners or the viewers that want to communicate, but you gotta get off this subject. I can't, if I'm going to lose you as a viewer or a listener, well, then so be it. Because, I'm looking for viewers and listeners that are going to be a little more diversified than one fighter. And I don't mean just the Floyd fans. I'm talking about the Pacquiao fans too, man. They're just as nauseating. It's like when I talk about the Yankees, the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. Both of them, their fans hate each other. But the funny thing is both groups of fans, with the exception of liking a different team, they're exactly the same. And it's the same way with the Pacquiao and the Floyd fans. They're exactly the same. They're blind to reality. And all they care about is their man. And they're like, going out of their way to discredit the other guy. And then somehow I've been packaged in with being on the Pacquiao side. And although I think he's better for the sport because of his stuff outside the ring, I've went on record as saying if he and who fought tomorrow, I think who would win. But I just want to warn everybody right now that I'm just not doing it. I'm just not getting into that crap anymore. I got a bunch of emails yesterday. And a lot of them I'm not even going to read. The only two that I'm going to even mention are from people that, I enjoy their emails generally. And one is from Given Quality, of course. I enjoy his emails, but I'm not going to go over and over and over on it. It's a waste of my time. And quite honestly, it's a waste of your time. But anyway, hey, listen, let's take a short break. When I come back, I got some emails to read, and we'll get some of these. I got to pop some more Tums, man. My stomach's killing me.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IDO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IDO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching a replay on LDL TV. Glad you could join us. And if you want to get involved with doing some boxing promotion and stuff like that, give my man John an email. Drop him an email. John at LDLTV.com is how you can get a hold of him. And we love our time there, especially all the ladies that we like to hang out with over there at LDL TV. But anyway, all right, here we go. Given quality, right? He says, why don't you just read my mailbag? You're messing up the point for you and the listeners. Here's the point for you, given quality. The listeners don't care. I mean, with the exception of the the group of diehards like you who want to hear about who all the time. The rest of the boxing world don't care, So I'm not going to read it anymore. I'm going to straighten out something. All he wants to do is get his point across, and he said his point was that that Manny Pacquiao basically hasn't gotten better, and he wants to give him, and he's in the video that the link that he sent me was a link of Juan Manuel Marquez, his punch, the same punch that landed on Pacquiao is the same punch that he was always able to land. His point, bottom line, is that Pacquiao hasn't gotten better, hasn't improved, and he's a B-rated fighter. And he says he gives Pacquiao credit for getting in the ring, but he feels that the media built him up and that he's a B-level fighter. That's it, and there's nothing wrong with it. And he's got all these fake titles and blah 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 blah. And my point back is this: talk about fake titles. Talk about not really, establishing yourself as the man by fighting often and everyone could be applied to who. So that was Given Quality's point. He obviously doesn't like Pacquiao. He obviously doesn't like the media who built up Pacquiao. He likes Floyd. He likes, other sweet science guys. That's it. Thanks for the email, Given Quality. No other comment from me. And while I say this, I'm going to also mention my man T. Bruce. Now, T. Bruce is upset with me as well because, he wants basically the same stuff. He wants to say the same thing. So I'm saying, great, good. Whatever. I don't agree with you, T, but, I respect your opinion. I respect Given Qualities. You're saying that Pacquiao is built up and Floyd's better and blah, 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 blah. And great. I'm giving you that. I will read the other part of the email that he writes, and I'm not reading this because of the end of it. He says, Floyd can hurt welterweights enough to keep him respectful. This is in response to Floyd's lack of punching power. He says Floyd can hurt welterweights enough to keep him respectful, but at 154, he can't even phase the guy. If Canelo pulls a Mares versus a Marino, he's going to crush Floyd. He'll be the first prime 150-pound fighter that Floyd's ever faced. Now, the only reason why I'm going to comment on that is because, to me, it almost sounds like a bait-and-switch comment, because I don't think that Canelo has a chance against Floyd. And whether you want to look at the size or whether Floyd can hurt him or not, just like somebody had emailed a week ago, Floyd doesn't have to knock him out. Floyd doesn't have to hurt him. Floyd will counterpunch the crap out of Saul Alvarez. Anybody that's trying to now, Pacquiao's getting criticized from predominantly these two guys, T. Bruce and Given Quality, about fighting, fake titles and not fighting the best. Or in T's case, he says, he fought a washed up, that he tried to duck. He ducked Berto. He ducked Mosley in his prime. He ducked Margarito. All these fighters that T. Bruce told me that Manny ducked. And he says I'm conveniently forgetting it. Whatever. In boxing, there's a lot of I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I want to fight this guy, and I'm going to fight the best, and we never see it. So a lot of them say this. All of them say it. Not just the two guys we're talking about here. But I will say this. The Floyd fans better not start giving all the accolades. The little game. The build up. The game of saying what a tough opponent Saul Alvarez is going to be for Floyd. That's not true. It's not true. He's a perfect opponent for Floyd because he stands right in front of it. Listen, I would rather see him fight Guerrero, and he's smaller. So let's go to a welterweight. Let's take a fighter that Floyd can hurt, according to T. Let's do that. Any Floyd fan that's going to try to paint the picture that Saul Alvarez is for real is trying to pull the wool over your eyes. These are the same guys. And even, I will tell you this, Given Quality better not say that, because I know that his emails in the past have said exactly the opposite. He says that it's a joke that Alvarez is a champ and all of this. He's never fought a legitimate 154-pound top-ranked fighter and blah, blah, blah. And he's right. So don't be changing that tune now that it's really speculated that Floyd will be fighting Saul. It's the easiest opponent of the three opponents that are and if you want to throw Manny in there, there's four, but I'm not even including him. There's really three opponents, in my opinion, for Floyd. Number one, Saul Alvarez, which is the weakest one. He's going to take him. Number two, Robert the Ghost Guerrero, who's the most, one that's kind of a question mark. Nobody knows. And then the other one is Sergio Martinez, which he never mentions his name. So those are the three that I would think that Floyd would fight. So whatever. So thanks. I'm not going to get into it anymore. Danny H. says, love your rankings. Keep it up. Thanks, Danny H. We put the new Billy C rankings up on the website yesterday, and they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. They're pretty accurate, I think. Just to give you an idea, we did change the heavyweight division around a little bit. We moved Tyson Fury up to number 7 in the top 10. We kind of dropped Pulov down, because of different reasons. But Tyson Fury's at number 7 now. And Bryant Jennings happens to be up in the top 12 now. He was in the top 20, and he's moved up a little bit. Some other notable rankings changes. Of course, the welterweight division, we have Timothy Bradley, number 1, Juan Manuel Marquez at number 2, Manny Pacquiao at number 3. We also changed around the pound for pound. If you look at the pound for pound rankings, you'll see that Manny Pacquiao has dropped, which he deserves to drop. Our pound for pound rankings right now, we have Andre Ward number 1, Sergio Martinez number 2, Floyd Mayweather number 3, Juan Manuel Marquez number 4, Manny Pacquiao number 5. You could disagree with them or not. You could agree with them or not. But check them out. Let me know what you think. They're up on the website now. And that goes for the Billy C Challenge. We are still we have all the calculations, and we know who's the winner and all that stuff, but I'm going to save it until it's posted. We fell a little behind with all the busy fights and everything else. This week we're going to talk about 10. We're going to be putting 10 fights on the Billy C Challenge. I'll be talking about those a little bit later on the show. Also coming up is Dax Khan, and he will give us his boxing schedule roundup. He'll be coming up around 6:30, so stick around for that. Let's see. We got some other emails here. We have Aztec Smurfs. I like that. Aztec Smurf says, oh, well, I like the name anyway. I guess I'm not so crazy about the email, but it says, Billy's hatred for Mayweather makes him very biased towards Pacquiao and blinds him of reality and common sense. Listen, man, what part of, this is so ridiculous. It really is. I mean, I can't believe, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan first of sports, so I have my teams. I have my teams in team sports, and I have my fighters that I like and everything else. And I'll be the first to admit, I'm just as crazy about my my fighters that I'm fans of and stuff, and I want to see them win so bad and everything else. But at the end of the day, at some point in time, you really have to put it in perspective. I've admitted that I dislike Floyd, but not because of his boxing ability. Yes, I root against him, but so did many people for Mike Tyson. So did Jack Dempsey. So did people during Rocky Marciano's time. And yes, Muhammad Ali. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, during his active career, many people, including myself, at times, I went back and forth with Ali, just like Sugar Ray Leonard, actually. There was times I liked him, times I didn't. So I mean, it's the nature of the beast. But all this 100% discredit for the predominantly Pacquiao and Mayweather is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All I'm trying to do is give Manny Pacquiao credit for fighting the style, that never deviating from his style, whether it's good or bad, and getting knocked out. By getting knocked out does not take anything away from his full, career. And yes, it's obvious that he's went down, slipped a notch, and all of this. He's not the same fighter he was a few years ago for whatever reason. But neither is Floyd. I mean, listen, the best example is if you take two older fighters, and you put them in the ring against each other, and, they fought earlier in their career as two young fighters, and they gave you an exciting fight. Like Pacquiao and Marquez, 10 years from now, when they're in their 40s, they would probably give us a good fight. Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti, if he was still alive, would give us a great fight at 50 years old. It's just the way it is, man. But hey, I appreciate your opinion, Aztec Smurfs, and I'll keep mine. But anyway, hey, listen, I'm going to take a break now. When I come back, right after we come back from this break, we're going to play that embarrassing 2009 Christmas, 12 Days of Christmas. Our version of it, and then we'll kick off the rest of the show. So I'm scared. I forget how bad this one was.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio. He would scoff at the stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Well, it's that time of year again. It's Christmas. And last year we had some fun giving you the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C's version of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And thanks to my good friend, Mark Muller, he told me I should do a new one every single year. So thanks, Mark, for giving me more work to do. But we decided to come up with another one, and I did. And what I'm going to do right now is the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C's version of the 12 Days of Christmas. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me my very own subscription to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 boxing gloves and my very own subscription to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 ringside seats, 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. On the 5th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 solid gold boxing glove chains, 4 ringside seats, 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. On the 6th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 6 sexy ring cut girls, 5 solid gold boxing glove chains, 4 ringside seats, 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talking Boxing with Billy C. On the 7th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 7th Southpaws swinging, 6 sexy ring-cut girls, 5 solid gold boxing glove chains, 4 ringside seats, 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talking Boxing with Billy C. On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 8 one-punch knockouts, 7 Southpaws swinging, 6 sexy ring-cut girls, 5 solid gold boxing glove chains, 4 ringside seats, 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talking Boxing with Billy C. On the 9th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 9 ice-cold scotches, 8 one-punch knockouts, 7 Southpaws swinging, 6 sexy ring-cut girls, 5 solid gold boxing glove chains, 4 ringside seats, 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talking Boxing with Billy C. On the 10th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 10 promoters who actually promote, 9 ice-cold scotches, 8 one-punch knockouts, 7 Southpaws swinging, 6 sexy ring-cut girls, 5 solid gold boxing glove chains, 4 ringside seats, 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talking Boxing with Billy C. On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 11 fighters who'll fight anybody, 10 promoters who actually promote, 9 ice-cold scotches, 8 one-punch knockouts, 7 Southpaws swinging, 6 sexy ring-cut girls, 5 solid gold boxing glove chains, 4 ringside seats, 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talking Boxing with Billy C. On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 12 more major affiliates, 11 fighters who fight anybody, 10 promoters who actually promote, 9 ice-cold scotches, 8 one-punch knockouts, 7 Southpaws swinging, 6 sexy ring-cut girls, 5 solid gold boxing glove chains, 4 ringside seats, 3 competent judges, 2 boxing gloves, and my very own subscription to Talking Boxing with Billy C. Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody, from all of us at the Talking Boxing with Billy C. radio show. Scotty Krause, Dave Mo Wilcox, John Robbins, Emily Harney, Marty Mulcahy, Elkie Vivona, Joe Santaliquido, Kieran O'Neill, Mark Abrams, Amy Green, and Mike Parmalee. We want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Ciao.
Well, that was the embarrassment of the Christmas card that we sent out in 2009. And I want to welcome the Fight Now audience that just got to probably turned on their TV and was like, what the hell is going on here? No, these are older ones. Obviously, the guy I didn't thank in there as being part of the family has evolved into an important part of our organization here. And you all know him. His initials are Dax Khan, so he's not included in there. And you may have heard a name or two of some people that are no longer part of the show. But nonetheless, that was the third one. We had given 3 out. I didn't do one last year, and I'm not doing one this year. So that's it. That was to answer the email, and there it is. There's the final one. So let me get to these other emails. And Bigaback, my man Bigaback says, now Pacquiao is in the milking process of his career. Arum would milk as much as he can from his cow, and he will try to make Juan Manuel Marquez fight 10 more times if he could. I thought the Pacquiao edging Bradley on a close fight, but I do believe that's what Arum wanted, same as De La Hoya Mosley too, where he sacrifices his old cash cow in search of a new one. Because of Pacquiao's loyalty to Arum, he would suffer more than in his previous stars like De La Hoya and Floyd, because they went after why was the best suited for them when Pacquiao signed an extension ending in 12-14. He sold his soul to the devil. Listen, we know that Manny Pacquiao is not going to fight 10 more times, bigger back. Everybody can blame the promoters. I'm so sick of hearing people, throwing in, the washed up, the drained this guy, the drained that guy, the catch weights. All I'm going to say about that is simply this: don't sign the contract, man. When people say, "Oh, they had to sign a contract, otherwise they wouldn't get the fight." Exactly. People sign to fight who, and they agree to all his crazy stuff too, and they want to fight, they want the check, they want to fight, so they sign the papers to shut the F up. That's the bottom line. If you're going to complain about it, don't sign a contract. Go fight somebody else. Go fight for less. So everybody that keeps complaining about the dried out De La Hoya or the demand for Olympic style testing or whatever other excuse you want to throw in there from whatever side of the fence that you're throwing your crap, you're slinging your crap from. The bottom line is this: don't sign the paper, man. Don't fight. You know what? If Floyd didn't want to fight Manny or Manny didn't want to fight Floyd, whatever, they didn't fight. So, as much as we wanted it, as much as everybody wanted to see it, as much as everybody wanted to shut both sides up, just like when the Yankees and the Red Sox play in the AL championship game, the bottom line is it didn't happen. That's it. It's over. Bam. They decided not to sign the paper. Manny didn't want to sign the paper when Floyd offered him his deal. Floyd didn't want to sign the paper when Manny offered him his deal. End of story. They didn't sign. They didn't do the fight. It's over. So forget about it. For all the fans that like Manny, they think he's great. Great, good for you. All the fans that think Floyd is great, great, good for you. Good. Everybody's got their opinion. I think, back in the day, I think Sonny Liston was one of the best fighters. I think Mike Tyson was. I loved Rocky Marciano. Sugar Ray Robinson, to me, is the best fighter. Those are all my opinions. You could agree or disagree. You guys all sent in your pound for pound top 10. Everybody's list was slightly different, and we respect it. So we got to do the same thing here. And speaking of that, we did have a lot of the premium podcasters were down a little bit. They had to listen to all three shows yesterday. But I had asked, I believe on Monday, 4-fight rivalries. We were talking about, of course, Pacquiao and Marquez. Most recently, the Israel Vasquez and Rafael Marquez fights. Those 4 fights were all entertaining, and Jake LaMotta and Sugar Ray Robinson had 6 entertaining fights, and the Bob Montgomery. Those 4 fights were all very exciting, as was the Gene Tunney and Harry Greb fights. With all of that, what fights, what trilogy, at least 3 fights or more, do you think that were all very good, or maybe one of the ones that I mentioned? Let me know what you think, man. Let's talk about that. The next email I have is from Roger. Roger from New Jersey says, "Thank you so much for stopping the Floyd talk. I almost stopped listening." Wow, I'm glad you didn't, Roger from New Jersey. He says, the guy is bad for the sport and not worth talking about unless he's fighting, and we all know that that's not too often. True. That is our new rule, Roger, and I certainly wouldn't want to lose any listener, but I appreciate the email, and you're right. We need to talk about the fighters that are relevant, the guys that are fighting. We got some great fights scheduled for this weekend, and that's our goal. So appreciate the email. DD Man says, keep on keeping on, Billy C. You the best in boxing. Thanks, DD Man. Jamal says, I once told my buddy that you were the Mayweather of boxing talk. Now what do I do? That's kind of funny, Jamal. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. Why? Because I run and I don't talk about the toughest topics. I cherry pick my topics. What? No, I'm only kidding. I I get what Jamal's saying. Obviously, he thinks. I think I get what he's saying. Obviously, he thinks Floyd is the best out there, and that's why he referred to us as that. But anyway, I appreciate all the emails. Thanks you very much. It was announced yesterday that a fight between John Molina, who's lightweight division, 24 wins, 2 losses, 19 knockouts, is taking on the undefeated Andrei Kilimov, who's 14-0 with 8 knockouts. That's going to be the main event January 11th in Santa Fe. And a couple of co-main events. You got Brandon Gonzalez is going to be on the card, and Don Mouton, and Tony Valdez. And Tony Valdez, in case you recognize the name, he's the guy that beat Raymond Hollywood Montes. Now Hollywood is a young fighter out of New Mexico who I met and got to call a couple of his fights. And he was the one that's still in the hospital, I guess, and bleeding on the brain. And it was confirmed to me, by the way, I meant to mention this on yesterday's show, that I was hoping that Hollywood Montes' career would not be over. But it was told to me over the weekend, or actually not over the weekend, it was either yesterday or the day before, that his career indeed is over. He will not be able to box. Even if he has a full recovery, he will not fight again. So it's a shame. He had a lot of talent, and it's a shame. I hate when we get all of that stuff. But anyway, Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's going to be an ESPN card, and that's going to be taking place on January 11th. So we'll see what happens with that. Pat Holmes is going to be doing the card along with Goose and Tudor and Marquez Promotions. So, yesterday was the final press conference for Nonito Donaire, Jorge Arce. Hey, listen, you want to bash Top Rank and Bob Arum and stuff. How about bashing him for this fight? We have the beginnings of the Nonito Donaire following, and a lot of these guys think he's pound for pound one of the tops. We have him in our ranking, but he's not in the top 5. A lot of people think he's the best. He's this and he's that. Well, why is he fighting Jorge Arce? I mean, I love Jorge Arce. I like Donaire too, but he's the only guy that he could find in the division. I mean, Jorge Arce is a guy that is tough, but he's small. I mean, people are going to say, the Donaire fans are going to say, well, Donaire was in the same weight class. I mean, he moved up. Yeah, but, that was kind of a little different. It's almost like Robert the Ghost Guerrero, because Robert the Ghost Guerrero was a pretty big featherweight as well. But Nonito Donaire in the junior featherweight division, truthfully, Jorge Arce is a bantamweight. Moving up, and even that's pushing it, because the junior bantamweight is probably his best weight at this stage of his career, but he's moving up, and he's fighting Nonito Donaire, and we'll see what happens. The last press conference took place yesterday, and a couple of comments from the fighters. Jorge Arce, who's usually pretty vocal and comes up with a lot of macho man type statements at these press conferences, didn't have anything to say. He said, I'm not going to make any prediction. He says, all I'm going to do is I'm going to promise that this is going to be a great fight. He says, I've prepared for this fight like I never have before. He said, what happened last week in Las Vegas with Pacquiao and Marquez is going to happen again this weekend. It's going to be a new surprise. So him not making any predictions, he basically did make a prediction. He says he's going to knock out Donaire. Donaire said he doesn't know, he didn't realize they're doing this fight in Texas. He thought that Houston, Texas was warm. He says, I didn't know that it was cold here. He says, but I guarantee it's going to be hot here on Saturday because it's going to be another great fight between the Philippines and Mexico. He says, but I think it's just me and Arce getting in there as a fighter and as a warrior. It's going to be incredible. I guess he refers to Arce as a warrior and himself as a fighter. I don't know. like I said, I don't know if I'm that crazy about the matchup. I love Jorge Arce, and I like Nonito Donaire too. I just think that, obviously everybody wants to see the Donaire and the Guillermo Rigondeaux fight, but unfortunately, we're not going to see it. And as for the rankings, let me give you a rankings update. The rankings update right now in the junior featherweight division, we have Guillermo Rigondeaux number 1, and we have Nonito Donaire number 2. Now, I've received several emails about that ranking and why many people believe that Nonito Donaire should be ranked higher. He should basically have the number 1 spot. And my response to them is simply this. Guillermo Rigondeaux was in the division first, okay, and he had already established himself in the ranking. Nonito Donaire moved into the division and has established himself as a major player in the division. However, with the guy who beat the guy rule, Nonito Donaire has not fought Guillermo Rigondeaux yet to unseat his number 1 position. And then the only other way that I would flip-flop him, at least, unless I was overruled by the panel, is if Nonito Donaire fought a fight or two and Rigondeaux did not. And then based on activity, providing that the opposition, the competition level was okay, I would flip-flop him. So don't think for a minute I have something against Nonito Donaire, because I don't. And I was ready to flip-flop him if Donaire comes out on top against Jorge Arce, specifically against Arce, even though I don't like to fight, the credentials that Arce brings to the table in terms of his accomplishments, his titles, and all of that, looks good on paper. You don't really see the size difference, but still. But Guillermo Rigondeaux's fighting this weekend too. So, you got the activity level is equal. You got the competition level is equal because Rigondeaux is actually fighting a pretty, an older fighter, but he's has been a world champion and a top fighter for a long time in Poon Swat, creating Dagon Gym. So, it's going to be tough to move him. To flip flop him. The only way I could see them being flip flop is Nonito Donaire just absolutely blows away Arce, and Rigondeaux struggles and wins like a split decision or gets a draw or something like that. Then maybe it's justifiable. But there's so many other fights. I thought Nonito Donaire. I'd like to see. The Nonito Donaire and Abner Mares. They're under the same promotional blanket. So why not make that fight? Oh, that's right. They're not under the same promotional blanket. Nonito Donaire is back with Top Rank, and Rigondeaux is also with Top Rank. So I'm not so sure why these guys aren't fighting. The Abner Mares Donaire fight won't happen because of different promoters. Yeah, that's the word. The funny thing about it is, even if you look at the junior featherweight division, Rigondeaux in our division, we have him in our rankings, we have him ranked number 1, and Creating Dagon Gym is ranked at number 6 in the same division. So actually, Rigondeaux technically is fighting a better opponent than Nonito Donaire when you look at it, because Nonito Donaire's opponent, Jorge Arce, he's ranked at number 4, but at the division below. So, hey, there you have it. There you have it. Hey, something I want to mention, Gleason's Gym. We talk about Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. One of the things I think you should do for everyone on your shopping list this year is buy them something, either my book or a premium podcast subscription. It's a great gift. But Gleason's has some good gifts too. They actually have a really special, lifetime membership gift that you can give to a friend or a family member, something from Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn. Lifetime, very affordable. They also have memberships specials. They have a boxing starter kit, which has a couple of passes to the gym and hand wraps, a T-shirt, and some boxing gloves, and they're also offering discounts on all of their equipment there, whether it be Everlast gloves or protective gear or whatever. and some discounted month-long membership. So definitely after you buy them something from us, the book or the podcast subscription, then the next thing you should be giving out is stuff from Gleason. So check them out. You can get to their website by visiting ours, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Gleason's gym banners and tell them Billy C sent you, and you'll even get more of a discount than the special. So check that out. Some news out of England yesterday has got me jacked up. I've always said that England is, an important part of boxing. And it was announced yesterday that Frank Maloney, who's one of the Franks, you know how I always say it's Frank Squad over there in England? Well, Frank Maloney announced yesterday that the TV channel Loaded TV has launched a new series of boxing on their channel for free, the way boxing should be, except here's the best part. That's network television in England. So good stuff. So congratulations to Frank Maloney for staying in the mix, so to speak, and thank you to Loaded TV for bringing boxing on network television for all of our friends and fans over on the other side of the pond. It's going to start off this weekend, as a matter of fact, at 9:30 p.m., and they got some other shows coming up next month and everything else. I think the next event is going to be in January, so check it out. It's on Loaded TV, and we got it's I think it's Sky Channel 200 or something like that. I don't know, but the fight that they're going to have on there is Brian Rose's British junior middleweight title defense against Sam Webb, and that's taking place at Blackpool's Winter Garden. That's where the fight's going to be taking place, but it's going to be on Loaded TV, which is pretty cool. Love it. Got to have boxing on network television. And finally, Marshall Kaufman, this is one thing I wanted to mention. Marshall Kaufman is a heavyweight, 27 years old. He's only been beaten one time, 23 wins, 1 loss, 17 of his knockouts. He's a typical, in my opinion, overrated white guy fighter who has a cupcake resume and everything else, with exception of the loss, who he lost to another cupcake. I can't stand looking at records like this. Can't stand it. But I will say this, that Marshall Kaufman, Travis Kaufman. Marshall Kaufman is his father, who used to train him and actually promoted him. But it was announced yesterday that Travis Kaufman has signed a promotional agreement with Greg Cohen Promotions. So maybe we'll see him step up his level of opposition. Maybe he gets better. I don't know, man. But all of that stuff is happening now. So congratulations to Greg Cohen Promotions and Travis Kaufman for marrying each other, I guess. We talked about some other stuff yesterday. I just want to remind you that, yes, they are discussing a Manny Pacquiao, Juan Manuel Marquez, numero cuatro. Cinco, right? 5. We do have a poll question up on BillyCBoxing.com. And one of the answers are, should there be a Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez 5 fight? The other two answers are, options are, they both should retire, or just Manny should retire, or they should fight each other. Go cast your vote, because right now, a large percentage, I think 60-something% say both should retire. 0% said that just Marquez should retire. And then I think 16% have yes, that they want a Pacquiao and Marquez number 5 fight. So cast your vote, man. I'm curious to see. We'll announce the winner on Monday's show. One last thing before we take a break and get Dax Khan on here. Zahir Rahim, who's born in Philadelphia, but he's been training in Georgia. He's got a record of 31 wins, 3 losses, 18 come by knockout. He just signed a promotional contract with Brian Halquist Promotions, and the good thing about that is if you know Halquist Promotions, you'll know that they're the ones with that deal with the Emerald Queen Casino in Washington, Tacoma, Washington. They've been doing it for a long time there, and Zahir Rahim now will have a venue to to call his own because he signed with Halquist. So congratulations to both Brian Halquist and Zahir Rahim. Hey, I got to take a break. When I come back, we're scheduled to have Dax Khan join us, so we'll be right back.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
You beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought him.
Huh?
What? We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue just thinking about you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. I'm glad you could join us. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. And I just want to say, just before my man Dax got on the line, and we're going to bring Dax on in a second as soon as he gives us a shout back, because I already dropped him. Yes. I dropped you, Dax, so you got to call back. But my man Joe Dwyer, I just noticed that my man Joe Dwyer was trying to call in. And, Joe, if you're listening to the show, or if you hit the wrong button, I don't know. But if you're listening to the show right now, as soon as Dax is done with his segment at the next break, give us a shout. I'd love to talk to you. Joe Dwyer is the president of the NABF and with the WFC. He's got some rankings and requirements that I just absolutely love. Haven't talked to him in a while. So, Joe, if you're listening, give us a shout back as soon as Dax is done with his segment. And speaking of Dax, Dax joins us right now. That was a quickie, huh?
Yeah, that was the all-time record quickness on how fast I've been cut off.
I didn't cut you off. At least you didn't come on and then I cut you off. I was just trying to intro you and I listen to you and to all the listeners and all the contributors and everything. I do have another box for the phone system. It's ready to roll. I just have not had a chance to actually replace the one that's in there. It's done. It's all installed and set. I just have to physically remove one and put the other one in. So it's going to happen, man. So hang in there.
All right, now. I'll believe it when I hear it.
Well, why don't you go through your boxing schedule roundup now so we can – I know it's another busy week, so we'll get all of that out of the way, and then we'll talk about some of the fights scheduled for this week and, of course, the aftermath of what's going on and still being talked about as the topic of most boxing fans' discussions, and that, of course, is Juan Manuel Marquez's brutal knockout over Manny Pacquiao. So give us our weekend boxing roundup, bro.
Absolutely. Tomorrow night at the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, GYM Promotions broadcast on Wealth TV. When former two-division world champion Jean Pascal makes his return to the ring as the main event attraction when he faces Alexei Koziemski in the co-feature light heavyweight Eladir Alvarez battles Danny McIntosh. That contest will be for Alvarez's WBO, NABO light heavyweight title. Unbeaten super featherweight Logan McGuinness defends his NABA super featherweight title against a quality opponent in Carlos Manuel Reyes. Also on that card is middleweight David Lemieux, unbeaten welterweight prospect Kevin Bazier, and 11-0 heavyweight Oscar Rivas. Saturday, OR Promotions will be broadcasting their weekly event on Argentina TYC Sports. And the feature, one of my favorite and, in my opinion, most underrated fighters, Omar Narvaez, defends his WBO super flyweight title against David Quijano. Narvaez, Bill, has one loss. He's 37 years old. The loss is to Donaire in a step-up of a huge size difference. He's never been down on the canvas, in my opinion. He's fought nothing but top opposition in the flyweight and super flyweight divisions. This is a guy who fit your article on BillyCBoxing.com as someone who's not promoted correctly. Anybody out there who hasn't seen Omar in action, check him out on YouTube or something because you don't know what you're missing. Also, Cesar Sada, Victor Valletta, and Rayona Whitfield, who all stepped in with him, were on top of the game before Omar just actually went in and ruined those guys as any potential future prospects. So Omar's an exciting guy to watch. Don't miss that fight this weekend. In Germany, Sauerland Promotions will air in Germany, ARD, and Hungary Digisport. Arthur Abraham defends his WBO super middleweight title against Mahidi Bouada in the main event. 13-0 prospect, 154-pound. Jack Calcade defends his WBA Intercontinental Light Middleweight title against Jean-Michael Himikaro. Hard-hitting, unbeaten cruiserweight Matus Masternak will take on Juho Hapaoja. Winner claims the vacant EBU cruiserweight title. Heavyweight Edmund Gerber steps in looking to remain unbeaten against veteran Michael Spratt. In London, and United Kingdom, Frank Warren brings an exciting night of action that can be seen in Hungry Sport 2. The main event will be for the Commonwealth British Empire super middleweight title when champion George Groves looks to use his hard-hitting style against the ageless former world champion Glenn Johnson. Glenn is still the road warrior because this is a fight that is not needed for him to take. It's for a Euro-based title. How, that's beyond me because Glenn isn't even really eligible to defend that title. But Glenn has seen better days, losing his last three despite against top-level guys. So I just want to thank Glenn for always stepping it up to try and help make a night of action worthwhile. We're going to also see Billy Joe Saunders in action defending his Commonwealth British Empire middleweight title and attempt to capture the BBBFC vacant middleweight title as he battles Nick Blackwell. Light middleweight Liam Smith faces Steve O'Meara. The winner of that will walk away with the vacant Commonwealth British Empire light middleweight title. And cruiserweight Tony Conquest defends his WBO International Cruiserweight title against Neil Dawson. At the Sports Arena in Los Angeles, California on Showtime, Golden Boy Promotions will have a well-matched main event to see if Amir Khan is ready to continue as a top-tier fighter. Khan's going to go at it with Carlos Molina in the junior welterweight bout. Also, IBF bantamweight champion Leo Santa Cruz defends his belt against fellow unbeaten Alberto Guerra. Heavyweight Deontay Wilder steps up his level of competition finally against fellow unblemished Kelvin Price. Kelvin is not a world beater, but I have seen him in action, and this is the best that Wilder has faced thus far, so this should be something very interesting to see, especially after last week, after the Brian Jennings fight, when Brian Jennings called out, well, I didn't really call him out, but he did make mention about wanting to speak Wilder in the future. He did not like Wilder's attitude and Wilder's demeanor, so, he kind of made it clear that this would be a good time for him to get in there with Wilder and, show who really is the legit heavyweight prospect for the future. Welterweight Sean Porter faces Julio Diaz. Light middleweight Hugo Centeno Jr. along with Frankie Gomez will also be on that card. Both guys are undefeated in their career. Former Olympians heavyweight Dominic Brazil and welterweight Ellis Spence are going to be in there. A lot of action we're paying attention to. Before I forget, my first part of that card is going to be watching light middleweight Alfredo Angulo step in the ring for the second time in just months since being released. At the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas, rounding out the weekend is a top-ranked card being broadcast on both HBO and Hungry Digisport 1 networks. Super Bantamweight Nonito Donaire defends his WBO Super Bantamweight title against multi-time, multi-division champion, a man who I think could be exciting. Just watch brush his teeth because he doesn't do anything without action being involved. Jorge Arce, a potential Donaire opponent, a man who had been jabber-jawing back and forth with Nonito, WBA World Super Bantamweight champion Guillermo Rigondeaux looks to keep that possibility alive when he defends against Poonsawat Kradanchkim. Poonsawat is a guy who I think Rigo should have an easy night's work with, but knowing how the way upsets have been going on lately, as was just mentioned in the chat room, and the fact that Poonsawat is a very experienced fighter who has been a world champion several times, could upset, and rock the apple cart on that one. So you never know what's going to happen with that, especially towards the end of this year. Everything just seems to be getting more and more exciting, Billy, as every card goes by. Also, lightweight Jose Felix Jr. and light heavyweight Mike Lee are going to be on the card. Anybody who steps in there, maybe you could just mention a Subway store sandwich and get something for free over there. Who knows? But light heavyweight Cedric Alnou is going to round out that card, and to end what is going to been so far a very interesting year of fights on both those networks. So what I'm personally interested in, Billy, is to see the next day on Sunday which one of those networks actually gets the most views that night, and I think that's going to tell us who is going to set the bar next year, HBO or Showtime, on the quality of events that get sent up, because whoever doesn't set the standard that night is going to be who's behind next year and who's going to have to step it up if they want to remain the relevant network in boxing.
I love the Subway line because I was thinking along the same lines. Obviously, not the exact same thing you said, but as soon as every time
I mentioned it because you always mention it.
I know every time I think of Mike Lee, I can't help it. I mean, talk about good marketing, man. I mean, somebody mentions Mike, and the funny thing about it is most people that watch the commercial don't know who he is. They don't know who Mike Lee is. So it's kind of funny. Interesting point about the two networks. I think Showtime is going to have the better viewership because they're going to package in the CBS crowd, aren't they?
I believe they are.
So that's going to be tainted numbers, man. HBO is by themselves. Showtime's going to be showing. We lost you, Dax, so you got to call back. But Dax will give us a shout right back. But Showtime is actually that card is going to be spread up across not one, not two, but three different, I guess they're the same network, but three sister networks. You got CBS kicking off the first leg of that fight on at 4:30 on regular television. Then Showtime Extreme is going to have the other undercard. I guess there's we're looking at it as a main event for CBS. We're looking at the undercard for Showtime, which is going to be broadcast on Showtime Extreme, and then you have Showtime, which is going to have the main event of Amir Khan and Carlos Molina. So now, as far as the HBO broadcast with Nonito Donaire against Jorge Arce, people are going to tune in because they love Nonito Donaire, Dax. But I think you made a great point. I think that Showtime might have the better numbers anyway.
Well, I think they might too. I think Showtime is little by little, in my personal opinion anyway, becoming the standard, and HBO seems to me becoming second fiddle. I mean, not that, I don't mean that in an insulting way, because HBO throws great events and great cards, but it just seems that Showtime, I always liken it like this, and a lot of people are going to blast me on this, I know, but when you compare Jimmy Lennon Jr. and people compare Michael Buffer, Jimmy Lennon Jr. is just that guy that brings a little bit of sophistication and just brings his announcement to that next level, and, Michael Buffer is the type of guy who you really want in there for, them really poor quality cards when the crowd is all standing outside at the buffet stand or standing outside at the snack bar getting beers, and they need somebody to bring the crowd alive because it's just been that poor. And to me, I compare Showtime and HBO in that same manner.
Yeah, well, I like Showtime. I like their matchups seem a little more competitive, but they changed. They had a great announcing team. They changed it. HBO needs to make some changes. So, yeah, it's curious to see what 2013 is going to bring. Let's talk about the big fight last week. Manny Pacquiao gets knocked out cold by Juan Manuel Marquez. A lot of discussion. A lot of people are making accusations that maybe Juan Manuel Marquez was sipping some juice and all of this stuff. I look at it this way. You know what? He landed the perfect punch at the perfect time, the same punch that Manny Pacquiao has been susceptible to for his whole career. I don't think it hurts either of their careers at all. Obviously, it's going to help Juan Manuel Marquez. I don't think it should blemish Pacquiao's career like a lot of people think. Will there be a fifth fight?
I don't think so. To be honest with you, I don't think Team Pacquiao wants a fifth fight after that one. That was just a brutal KO, and that's the type of KO right there that makes a guy really debate retirement. No.
Well, he said
it's also second loss in a row. Even though the Bradley fight, the loss wasn't to that extent, of course, but you're thinking 2 fights in a row you lost. You've looked bad in the last couple. You got all these other things going on in your career. You're not training properly. So I really do think that this is the end of Manny Pacquiao at any level. Right now, if he fights, it'd just be a name-only fight where he can bring in a big payday and he can make a big draw. But other than relevance, and as far as the whole Manny Pacquiao wagon where he was just this indestructible man who just could fight anybody at this high pace nonstop, those days are long gone for Manny.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yes, I think that his career is definitely over, and if he does have another fight in him.
Well, Mayweather is trying to fight him now.
Yeah, but I think if he's got another fight in him, maybe it is a fifth fight. Because at least we'll know we'll get a good one, or maybe the rematch with Bradley. But I agree, he doesn't need to fight. He certainly doesn't need to do it for the money. So we'll have to wait and see. But I will say this though, Dax. It's tough to sell this because of the outcome. But before that devastating knockout, up until that point, it looked to me like that was a very Manny Pacquiao-esque performance. He was throwing a lot of punches. He was being aggressive. He wasn't taking his foot off the gas. So it's curious to see, and it's also curious to see if some truth comes out that maybe he didn't put as much into his training. I mean, we heard Juan Manuel Marquez say he prepared 4 months for this fight, and we know Manny Pacquiao did not train that long.
Our own man, Tony Treen, said that, Manny really didn't look very well out there. Tony had been following the camp around out in Vegas. So, when Tony Treen says something, I'm inclined to believe it because Tony tells it like it is. And Manny has for quite a long time, and Freddie Roach has been very vocal on the point that Manny doesn't put all he can into his fights, and he hasn't for quite a long time when it comes to the training aspect. I think one time it was actually on one of the HBO 24/7 episodes where Freddie Roach outright came and said, well, the real training doesn't start until the last 2 weeks when Manny gets here before his fight. So, between age, the amount of bouts he's been in, he's been in some wars, it catches up with you, and I just think it might have caught up with him now. I think I said it last week on the show, or maybe just on the phone with you, that every time you count Juan Manuel Marquez out and you think Juan Manuel Marquez is done and he can't pull something off, he just comes back even better. He is the smaller American version of Bernard Hopkins. I'm sorry, that's the only way that you make that comparison. But, as big as he was, Manny Pacquiao really, except for the one part when Juan went down, but he didn't go down hard. He wasn't, stunned or hurt. Manny didn't even seem like he phased him. It was almost like a flicker. I would hate to find out down the road that Juan Manuel was on some sort of illegal substance because, something that would just not only tarnish the win, that would tarnish the whole series of bouts that they've had together. It really would. It would just make them all irrelevant. As far as Manny Pacquiao goes, I just really think, his time has come. He's had a great run, and, his future is in doubt. Whatever happens, happens. But, I would hate to see, him come in there and for something like that to happen again. Because you've seen his wife screaming in fear, but, I was actually scared for a minute. The way he hit that canvas, he was face down, that's one of those things where you just were like, wow, is this guy going to get back up? And I just had to throw in that Floyd Mayweather dig because it just seems like,
we just lost you, Dax. You got to give a shout back. Apologize for that. Dax was right in the middle of giving a Floyd Mayweather dig. But, the bottom line is, I don't know, man. I think people are being hard on. First of all, nobody's gonna find out if Juan Manuel Marquez was actually on the juice or not, because they didn't test him for it. He's not being tested for that. You know, I mean, they're going to test for the normal testing stuff that whatever they test for in the state of Nevada, and that's it. You know, so if he has any other kind of drug in his system, they'll pick that up. But they're not testing for steroids, so we're not going to know that. It's a done deal. So, but anyway, I hope Dax gives a shot back, because I want to get his thoughts on a couple of fights for this weekend. Two fighters. One is coming back from a long layoff. That's Jean Pascal. I'm curious to know how he thinks he's going to be coming back. And Amir Khan is actually in a pretty tough fight with Carlos Molina. It doesn't. People may not think so, but I give Amir Khan a lot of credit for fighting the people that he chooses. He wants to be an elite fighter, wants to be considered an elite fighter. And, the road that he takes to that, would constantly, trying to seek out the best. I think it indicates that he, should he get over this hump, should he stop pointing fingers and making excuses, maybe he does get to that elite level, It's a question that I guess we won't know until afterwards, but he could have very easily have taken a lesser opponent. We got Dax back. I was just talking about the fight between Amir Khan and Carlos Molina. I think Molina is no layup for Khan. How do you see that one going?
I think Amir Khan's going to win, but no, Molina is no layup. He is a safe fight in terms of the fact that he has very little power, and so I'm not really sure about his chin. We really haven't seen how durable his chin is. He hasn't been in there with a puncher like Amir. So he is a guy that can make Amir look good, and he's a guy that, if Amir goes in there and looks sensational against him, nobody's going to credit him as a walkover. But then again, if Amir loses to him, he's not the type of opponent that, totally makes Amir irrelevant.
What about the return of Jean Pascal? Do you think that this is just a shake off the ring rust kind of a fight? Is he in in your opinion, is he in a real fight? What's your thoughts on that one?
No, I have to agree. I think it's just a shake off the ring rust bout, and Jean Pascal is coming back at a very, very smart time. Kuziemski, he doesn't take a punch very well, and not that Pascal's a big puncher, but, he's definitely never been in there with the level of competition that Jean Pascal's been in. So a loss would be a major upset for Pascal, but if Pascal comes in there, he wins, and, he uses this to shake off the ring rust, look for Pascal to be a major player again in the light heavyweight division. And
finally, one last fight. I know everybody, we're talking a lot about Donaire, Arce, and, Khan and Molina, blah, blah, blah. But there's a good fight going on over in England, and it's a huge jump in quality for George Groves. He's taking on Glenn Johnson. We all know Glenn Johnson retired earlier this year, came out of retirement. They obviously made this a nice offer for him. I think it would be a huge fight for Georgie Groves to beat Glenn Johnson. But my question is he good enough to beat Glenn Johnson? Even a 43, 44-year-old Glenn Johnson, is he good enough?
Glenn Johnson is one of those guys that, unless you're on your A, you can't make a mistake with Glenn Johnson. And George Groves, I like him as a fighter. He's never been in nowhere near the level of competition that Glenn Johnson is. So he has to come out there. His key to winning that fight is going to have to be busy, move around, and do not try to get cute with Glenn Johnson, and don't get overconfident, because you get overconfident with Glenn Johnson, you'll be looking up at the ring lights, even at a 44-year-old Glenn Johnson. What bothers me is how is there a British title on the line is beyond me. But, Glenn Johnson's the road warrior. He does whatever he does. So I think Grove should win it if he stays busy, if he moves around. But, Glenn Johnson beats him. It's going to be by knockout, and nobody be too shocked, because Glenn Johnson is that type of fighter that, he could pull out a win at any point in time. He's so crafty, and he still keeps a very busy pace for a man at 44 when he fights inside that ring, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's funny you said it about titles, because now a lot of the sanctioning bodies are putting titles up where really only one side has an opportunity to win it. If the other guy wins, it becomes vacant. Or their guy wins. I mean, it's ridiculous. What reminds me of a time I was covering a fight up in Canada, and the Canadian heavyweight champ was on the card and he was fighting, and I lean over to a guy. And I'm like, why isn't the Canadian title on the line here? He's the champion. Why isn't the title on the line? Everybody in press row looks at me and they go, everyone turned and looked like, who asked this stupid question? And the guy, he looks at me and he leans over quietly. He says, because the opponent's not Canadian. I was like, oh, okay. So it's like similar to what you're saying. How does Glenn Johnson fight for a British title, man?
Then why even have the title up on the line? It just makes no sense. For it to be a title fight, it means the title has to be available for both guys. But that's just my viewing of it. So maybe I'm wrong, but I always refer back to a conversation I had with John Scully one time about this title madness, and John said, "What business does some guy from West Virginia have facing anybody or holding the Caribbean Boxing Federation title around his belt, especially when the guy's been no further south than Louisiana?"
Exactly. Hey, one last comment before we let you go. You referred to Juan Manuel Marquez as a Bernard Hopkins. I understand, I think, your reasoning, but, man, Juan Manuel Marquez in his worst day was more exciting than Bernard Hopkins at his best. I mean, that's one thing I'd give Juan Manuel Marquez a lot of credit for. Although he's a veteran and knows all the tricks and stuff like you were alluding to about B-Hop, he definitely maintained excitement throughout his career from start to finish, and that's something I'm always going to remember about Marquez.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's in that terms, he's just a different breed. But, then again, so are all those Mexican fighters. Even Eric Morales at this point in time in his career is more exciting than Bernard Hopkins. And, Eric is fighting at junior welterweight, and he's 37 years old, 3 or 4 weight classes above his best. But what I meant was exactly how you stated it, is that, anytime Juan Manuel Marquez, you think he's not going to be able to pull it off, he can't open up a new chapter in his career, he does. How many of us actually thought that he was going to beat Juan Diaz when he fought the Baby Bull the first time? Took a heck of a beating on the ropes all night until he cut Diaz, and then Diaz seen his old blood and he panicked, and then he came back to get the knockout. Juan Manuel Marquez is just that type of guy, and for him to come back in that condition, I was amazed. He looked so big, so strong. It didn't seem to affect his stamina. It's almost like this guy rejuvenated himself, and what makes it even more amazing is it's at lightweight. How often do we see that happen with guys in those lower weight classes? Anything, middleweight, super middleweight, on up, we see guys reinvent themselves all the time, but we never see guys fighting that small.
Nah, I want to sprinkle what he was putting on his food. I want to put that on my cheeseburgers, man. Maybe that'll help me out.
Something. He looked amazing. He was in phenomenal shape. He was strong. He had. Something that's crazy, and I thought about this, and I said it to a buddy of mine. We were watching the fights. He had the same type build as Saul Alvarez did. That short, compact, stocky, rounded shoulder build with the big arms, and he just went in there and covered up. He was like a bull, almost like Manny Pacquiao seemed, not height-wise, but overall bulk like the smaller man.
Yeah, he was a smaller man. I mean, forget about the weight. I know he weighed more, but he certainly didn't look it in the ring. I agree.
He looked like Manny looked like he was stepping up to fight Marquez instead of dropping down, a little bit from where he's used to be. Remember, Manny fought size 154.
Well, the other thing too is Juan Manuel Marquez's upper body. It looked like a sheet of plywood. It just looked so big, and he was definitely bigger. Manny's got a lot of strength in his legs and stuff, but it didn't help him on Saturday. But
his calves didn't look that big, though, did they?
No, but I tell you who's did is Mercito Gesta. Oh my God, that guy had his legs were bigger than Rocky Marciano's, for God's sakes. I don't think I recall seeing a small fighter with such big legs. That's the first thing I look at in young fighters is the strength of their legs. And too bad he didn't throw any punches, because with those legs, I'm sure he's got some power behind him.
They actually made a reference to Manny Pacquiao about those calves, actually. I believe I remember the broadcast team saying, he has calves that remind you of a young Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, they said.
Yeah, that it was hard to stay awake during that one. I can't remember. I spent a lot of time in the bathroom, because I must have drank 45 cappuccinos to get me through the first 6 rounds.
I know, that's happened to me. I ended up being up all night. But they were saying that most Filipino fighters start off in Muay Thai, and they have to build up their legs, and that seems to be a across the board thing with the Filipino fighters. Their legs are always
all the power comes from those legs. Not to interrupt you, but if Mike Tyson didn't have those legs that he had, those big, huge thighs and those big, strong calf muscles, how would Mike have been able to knock out those huge fighters?
No, but if he had a little bigger ankles, he probably wouldn't have been knocked out himself. He had those great big legs, and then when you get down to his ankles, they were like little Tommy Hearns ankles. You know, it was kind of weird. But anyway, Dax, we just lost you. I was going to say goodbye anyway. So great segment there for Dax Khan, and we just actually lost Dax Khan. So I apologize for that. Now earlier, just before we came on the air from the last break, I noticed that my man Joe Dwyer was trying to call in. Now we didn't plan on having Joe come on, but if you're listening, love to have you call in. So I'm going to leave the line open for you so you can give us a shout. And we got one more. I have one more comment about Bernard Hopkins. Dax was saying that Bernard Hopkins, we all know he's kind of boring, right? I mean, come on. I know a lot of people love B-Hop and everything else, but he's definitely a boring fighter. And I mean, personally, I don't know what's more boring, watching Bernard Hopkins fight or waiting in line at a toll booth to pay the toll.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Baby Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed people's champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show, and you're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call. And for all the information about that channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. And we just had Joe on the line here. I'm going to see if I can get him back. I just lost him. Imagine that. We lose people and stuff like that. But I'm going to see if I can't get Joe on myself, man. We'll see if we can't get him on. I could tell that he was listening and he called in. And one time we didn't get through because we had Dax on. And then the other time, I guess he didn't realize that he was actually on hold in the queue waiting for us to come back. And I think I got him right here. Joe Dwyer, right?
Hello?
I was calling. Joe Dwyer was calling me, and this is Billy C. We're live on TV radio. Is he around?
Yes, just one moment.
Yeah, see, Joe called, and now I'm chasing him down here. I'm chasing him down. We can see what's on my man's mind, and we'll go from there. Now, Joe Dwyer is the president of the NABF, and he's got some great stuff going on there. So we'll see what's on his mind, man. We got to track him down.
I'm here, Billy.
What's up, my man? I saw you were calling in, and I know that I answered, but we were in break and stuff, so you probably didn't know it. How you been, bro?
I'm good. Yourself?
Not too bad. Are you still up here, or are you down in Florida now?
No, I'm in New York until January.
There you go. There you go. All right, you're brave, man. You're brave. It's getting cold. So what's going on? What's your thoughts about the fight last week?
Well, the fight itself, I lost because I lost out on it. I was in Cancun for the WBC convention.
Well, hey, I guess you could have been in a worse place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a great time down there. We had Muhammad Ali was on the scene, and
Muhammad Ali. What was that whole thing like? That the Muhammad Ali thing where they had him up on stage, and I know he was still pretty sharp with some of the jokes through his wife and stuff like that. I mean, can you give us an inside scoop about Ali? Is it just the external part of Ali that's failing so bad? Is he still all in there or what?
it seems to be, Billy. He seemed to be alert through his wife. And, he lit up like a Christmas tree when they crowned him, and he was real happy with it, and it was just great to see him there and to be with him.
That's cool, man. I was glad to see that he was doing, that he was there, that he was, out there. I like seeing him out. I know it takes a lot out of him, but
yeah.
So what's on your mind, bro? Obviously, you got something on your mind. You're listening to the show. You called in. What's up?
Well, things are just going along well. We're staying busy, doing the best we can to keep those ratings going, keep the champions, with quality instead of quantity. We've got two vacant titles coming up now. We've got a featherweight title on January 11th on Showtime. Ronnie Rios, 19-0, against Rico Ramos, 21-1, and that's being put on by Golden Boy. And then we follow up February 8th with the vacant middleweight title.
You got the, I don't know if you're watching on TV or the radio or whatever in the background, but you got the slight delay, so that's why you're hearing that in the back, and it's different than what you and I are talking about. But a quick question. I want to ask you a question. Now, this might be a tough one for you. You do a great job, and I brag about your ratings and the iron fist you rule the NABF with about, fighters defending their titles and who they defend them against and everything else.
Right.
But the WBC sometimes comes out of left field with some of their rankings and some of their defenses and stuff. What makes you I know you're under the WBC blanket, but what makes you different? I mean, how come your ratings, in my opinion, are better than, Papa WBC?
Well, I don't know if they're better, Billy. It's just the fact that, they're dealing with so many contenders up at the top of the ratings that, you're into these things with they did away with the interim titles, which I thought was a good move. And then to avoid that, they came up with the silver belt, which actually replaced an interim title.
Right. So they didn't get rid of it, really.
Yeah. It's just so many quality guys up at the top of the ratings.
Yeah,
that's a never-ending job. I really might hats off to the ratings committee on that one.
But you know what's frustrating with that though, Joe? It's like this, and I'm starting to see it, and I know you're right in the middle of it, so I'm pretty sure you're going to agree. But it's right. It's like fighters choose which sanctioning body they want to work for, so to speak. If you
right.
go with the WBC, you're in their rankings, you get their opportunities. If you go with another sanctioning body, it's the same thing. And in a sense, it's like I don't know if it's really given us the top 10 back in the old days. Top 10. There was 10 guys, 10 middleweights. Where if you made it to number 10, you were the 10th in the world. If you put any value on sanctioning bodies and you say that we have 4 or 5 top sanctioning bodies, I mean, you could conceivably have 50 top 10 middleweights.
Yeah, it's true, Billy. And part of the problem today is once you get the top guys up there, whether it's a WBC or a BO or whoever, then you get into the problem with promoters that don't work with each other.
Right.
You try and unify titles to get the one top guy there, and you can't make those fights.
I know it's crazy. I know in the state of New York anyway. When I was doing promotions 10 years ago or so, you weren't allowed to do that. That was against the rules. You actually weren't allowed to promote two fighters on the same card. It was like a law. I guess they changed that or whatever. But I remember running into that problem. We got a couple of big fights this weekend. You want to give us your thoughts? Nonito Donaire against Jorge Arce. Who do you like?
Well, I think you had it. You were on target with it, Billy. I always liked Arce, and he certainly always comes to fight. But that's a tough one there. I mean, he's really biting off quite a bit with Donaire.
Yeah, I know.
Donaire's at the top of his game. I was just at his last fight with Nishioka, and I mean, this kid has got it all. It's a tough night's work for Jorge.
Yeah, it is, and he didn't look that great in his last fight. Remember the one where he got that cut? It came out. I forget the kid he was fighting, virtually an unknown. But man, it was a tough one. Did you have any thoughts on the Manny Pacquiao Juan Manuel Marquez fight? I mean, we're getting a lot of emails from either Manny Pacquiao haters or Floyd Mayweather lovers, same people, and the general consensus from that side of the coin, so to speak, is that he was exposed, that this guy wasn't, and I think that's absurd. I mean, I'm not saying he was the best fighter ever, because he certainly wasn't. I'm talking about Manny, but you can't say he was exposed because he was knocked out the way he was. At least in my opinion. What's your thoughts?
He walked right into that short right hand. Anybody can get taken out with that one. And these were 4 competitive fights.
Oh, I know, and I tell you who I was impressed with. I mean, he's not a big name or anything like that. Wasn't on that card, but this kid Bryant Jennings, I can't help but love this guy. Joe, he reminds me of what Evander Holyfield was like when he first made that transition from cruiserweight to heavyweight. Same body style, same fighting style. Is he big enough to really compete with the main guys, the Klitschko brothers, in the heavyweight division?
That's such a tough road to hoe because, I mean, look at Eddie Chambers. Eddie Chambers went 12 rounds with Klitschko. I did that fight, and such a small man by comparison. And I had really hoped that he would last the 12, and he got stopped in the last round. But he certainly deserved to end up on his feet that night. And, getting back to Marquez, if you recall, Billy, he was shut out for almost 2 years with Hamed. And I gave him his first shot at the title. In fact, both brothers. I brought both of them to the IBF title.
Oh, cool. I like Marquez, and I think he put on a career performance. I liked your comparison with Jennings and Eddie Chambers, but Eddie finally did the thing that I thought he should have done a couple of years ago, and that's moved down to cruiserweight. Although I haven't seen him fight yet at cruiserweight, I think he's going to do well in that division.
I do also. And what about my former NABF champion Jonathan Banks?
Unbelievable. And okay, well, explain to me, here you go, that's a perfect segue, because explain to me what happened with the WBC, because from what I knew, and maybe that changed and I missed something, but I thought that fight, the Jonathan Banks fight against Seth Mitchell, was an elimination fight for the WBC shot at Vitaly Klitschko, and then all of a sudden after the fight, Banks wins, and next thing we know, we got Chris Arreola fighting Bermain Stavern for the shot at Klitschko's title. What happened there, man?
That was already in place, Billy, prior to the fight. What had happened is Jonathan Banks, the NABF champion, vacated in order to fight for the WBC international title against Mitchell. See, that was a unification because Mitchell had an NABO title. And then that put them into an eliminator at the same time, behind Stravain and Arreola.
Oh.
Arreola was the next in line, he and Stravain. The winner of that would be the mandatory for Klitschko, followed by, and there was a rematch clause in the Seth Mitchell fight. So they're going to fight, they're scheduling now to do a rematch between Mitchell and Jonathan Banks.
Okay. All right.
And that'll be an eliminator also. They'll follow Stravain and Areola.
That makes more sense because they're promoting the Stavern and Areola fight as a shot, and then all of a sudden Tyson Fury's name is mixed in there a little bit too. That he's he's on that list too, maybe number 3 in line or something.
Yeah, he'd be in the back door to those two.
Well, great stuff, man. So you're gonna go?
With the NABF, it's unique. We have term limits. In other words, as president, you can only serve a maximum of 2 terms, 4 years. So my term is up in June, and I'll be out as president, and we'll get some fresh blood in.
Why don't you take over the WBC, man?
I'm fine with it because I'm international secretary there.
I know that they're talking about some changes there, and maybe you could take some of the things you implemented with the NABF and get the WBC on the same, get the main WBC on the same page, because really I talk about it all the time. I love the strictness of when somebody wins an NABF title, who they have to face. I mean, they virtually don't have the choice. You're telling them who they're facing next, right? Oh, are you there, Joe? We just lost Joe. Joe, call me back, man. You could probably hear me, but I can't hear you. If you're still there, give me a shout back. Joe Dwyer, president of the NABF, which is a subsidiary of the WBC. Hopefully, Joe will call me back so he can answer that question. But great surprise, man. I saw that he was calling in, and obviously he was listening to the show, so it's good stuff there. And he's a New Yorker. I got to find out if I should have asked him, make sure that he was okay with the hurricane that hit. He's down on the island, someplace that I used to live, but moved north, man. So I didn't really get hit with the last one. But Joe likes to spend the cold part of the year out of New York, which I'm hoping to do starting next year myself. Actually, maybe not Florida. But someplace warmer. Sorry about that, man. We lost you, and I was just asking. You probably heard my question. What's the deal with that? You call the shots with the defenses, right?
I hear you, Billy.
Okay, you call the shots with the title defenses for the NABF. So in other words, I win an NABF title, and you're telling me who I'm fighting, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I don't have a choice. I don't tell you. Give me 3 names, and I'll pick one, right?
No. What I instituted in the past year, that was we had passed it at the convention last year, was we set up these elimination bouts where any 2 fighters that are rated can fight each other. The winner of that becomes the mandatory for the champion.
Oh, that's cool. Let me ask you a question, and one more question. I'll let you go. Do you ever see? I mean, honestly, in your honest opinion, do you ever see the sanctioning bodies fully working together? I mean, is there any advantage to that, or is there too many disadvantages? I know they like to appear to play nice and everything, but now you got the super title, or in your case, the diamond title that immediately is on the line when it's a unification. I mean, in the future, at some point, it doesn't have to be next year or the year after or 5 years from now, do you see these guys, the different sanctioning bodies, at least the major ones, playing nice?
I think that the relationships have certainly improved over the past few years between each of the organizations. You have fresh blood over there in the IBF, with Darryl Peoples now as the president. I think there's been great improvements there. Paco Valcarcel in the WBO is always easy to work with. And I think that things have really improved over the past few years, Billy.
What about, I lied, I got one more question because I was pretty interested in the scoring system that WBC wants to implement. I know you've been testing it around with the getting into the modern world with the computer device and stuff like that. Is that going to be something that we can look forward to in 2013 being more of the norm and not the exception?
Oh, I would say that's a definite thing because we did a demonstration at the convention, and the team from Mohegan Sun came down because they had implemented the program up there, which has proven successful, and it was well received by all of the officials. We had a 2-day seminar down there, and where we did demonstrations, and each of them had an opportunity to use the equipment. And hopefully we'll be getting these packages out and using it on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Mike Mazzuli's not afraid to try new stuff, man, and that's good. And okay, so I lied. I got one more quick question because it's something that's a pet peeve of mine, and I could see that it could really help the sport. You know, a lot of the networks, I'm not going to bash the network while you're on the phone. I'll wait till you get off. But, you know, the main networks, cable networks that broadcast boxing sometimes have been putting a lot of emphasis in the punch statistics, which I don't mind as an afterthought. You know, the fight's over, it's a conversation piece, blah, blah, blah. But I can't stand when it's being thrown up on the screen during the fight and they're actually using somebody else's subjective opinion about a punch landing or not landing as a statistic. My point is I think once the human element comes out, once there's a device that you can put on a fighter that could be like the receiving point and maybe have something in the glove that's a sending point, and you remove that human element from it, then we have true statistics. Is that something that the WBC, to your knowledge, has ever discussed? I mean, the statistics, do they care about that or what?
Absolutely. But I'm in agreement with you that when they show that during the commission of the fight, you know, I would much rather discuss it after it.
Exactly. It's, you know, it's like sometimes they're even basing their commentary on what those statistics say. And let's face it, you and I could look at the same exact punch, and I say it landed, you say it didn't. And, you know, you might have a view of it that you saw it miss. And my view, I'm sitting across the ring from it, and it looked like it landed flush, you know, and that's the beauty of our sport. There is subjectiveness to it, and here all of a sudden we're putting all of our eggs in somebody else's basket that's clicking a clicker, you know, and by the way, he's determining whether it's a jab, it's a power punch, it's a body shot, all in a matter of a second, you know, and I'm not discrediting their ability, but I just don't think it's accurate.
You know, it's ironic, Billy, that the fans are subjected to not only these statistics while they're trying to watch the fight, pushing for a particular fighter for a network, and then they're forever bashing these alphabet titles, yet they don't want to fight if they don't have a title attached to it.
Exactly.
So you can't have it both ways.
Exactly. And not only that, but the network suit is the same guy because they're saying, hey, listen, we don't even want to put that fight on unless there's a belt on the line. You know, so I mean, it's like they think no one's going to watch it unless there's a belt, and it's the complete opposite, you know, and it actually takes the value from the belts. If the belts were harder to obtain, they would mean more, at least in my opinion. I guess that's the old school out of us, you know, coming out of us. You know what I mean?
You know, I think Bernard Hopkins had the best statement. He said, if these belts weren't worth anything, can you imagine what they'd pay me if I didn't have them?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Joe, man, great surprise. I'm glad you stopped in. I saw you calling, and I wanted to pick up the call. I appreciate that. Anytime, my man. If I don't talk to you before the holidays, make sure you and yours have a good holiday, all right?
Same to you, Billy, and let's do it again.
All right, brother. Take care.
Bye.
That's Joe Dwyer. Surprise call. He's the president of NABF that has done a great job. You guys have heard me talk not so positively about the WBC and Jose in particular, but you've always heard me speak highly of Joe because, you know, he explained to me one time off the air, we spoke on the phone extensively about, you know, what he's done and what he does for the NABF. And if you look at it and you look at their rankings and you look at their champions and then who they're forced to fight, I mean, it's truly like the best way you can compare it, in my opinion, is it's like the minor leagues, AAA in baseball, let's say, where you got a guy that's moving up and you know you want to crown them, and AAA has their champions and everything else, and then they win that title and they graduate into that world-class level. And I think that Joe has done a great job with the NABF, with, you know, specifically that group of fighters. And if you don't believe me, check it out. As a matter of fact, we put all of he's got a monthly newsletter that comes out. We post it up on the website, so keep your eyes peeled for that. You can't miss it. They got a really nice, catchy logo we put up there for the NABF. So nice surprise, my man Joe Dwyer calling in. You know, I'm still jealous that he leaves the cold in the winter. At least he stays through January. He's a man. He can take it. A lot of these other snowbirds, they leave, right after Thanksgiving. They're gone. Bam. So hey, don't think that I'm not going to do the same thing. I'll tell everybody right now. I plan on being in Las Vegas. So it's nice and warm, but I'll always be in New York, or I'll be back in New York. So anyway, Joe Dwyer joining us. Great stuff there. Listen, make sure you mark it down. Tomorrow, we got Marty Mulcahy. Now, I got an email from somebody who was telling me that Marty Mulcahy is like one of his favorite segments on the show, and Marty's going to be around tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about the fights. Now, it looks like we got 11 scheduled, so for everybody that's involved with the Billy C Challenge, you'll be getting those fights in your email today. One other fight that will be on there is now he's currently the WBO super middleweight champ, Arthur Abraham, one of my favorite fighters. I liked him better as a middleweight, but that's me. 35-3 right now, 27 knockouts. He's taking on a tough guy in Midai Budlia, who's 26-4. And he's got 11 knockouts. We'll see what happens. He was at the last press conference yesterday, and Arthur Abraham says, I feel really comfortable. I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm looking for some bigger fights in 2013, so we'll see what happens. And as far as Budla, he says, my preparation has been great, and I'm going to give it 100% in order to take the belt from Abraham. Doesn't sound that positive to me, but that's me, and what the hell do I know?
Wake up. It's time for the... It's too early for a trivia question.
Well, it's too early for a trivia question. Question is being brought to us today by Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. Check them out. You can give them a call, 718-797-2872. That's 718-797-2872, or you can visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click the one of the Gleason's Gym banners. And, what's on the line today is our Title Bout Championship computer game. It's worth about $40 or so. If you want to find out more about it, you can check out the website, www.billycboxing.com, and on the left-hand side, you scroll down a little bit, and you'll see the Title Bout Championship computer game. Click it. We got 2 left. I want to give them away before the end of this year, man. I got 2 left. One is on the line today. We have a tough question. Thank you to Henry Haskup. He's been providing our trivia questions. He's feeling sorry for you guys, man. He's like, well, maybe you should give him a hint. Maybe you should reword it. No, I'm not, because you guys should be able to handle this one. Not that I would have handled it off the street, but, I mean, in front of your computer with the search tools, come on, man. Come on, you can get this. The question is, what former world title holder had the shortest career in the 20th century? He said maybe you should explain that he means the shortest in length. I'm assuming you figured that one out. The shortest term in his career as a former world title holder. If you know this answer and you're the first one to email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, I will send you the key for the Title Bout Championship computer game. So what former world title holder had the shortest career in the 20th century? If you know this answer, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Kemper and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble, and that is Kemper and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Let Kemper and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. Don't forget, I'll pick up the consultation fee if you mention Billy C to them. So 845-221-4099, Camp Aaron Tomkovich. Hey, listen, guess what? My this day in boxing history, I left it, I wrote it down and don't have it in front of me, but I remember. I just don't remember the year. I'm going to take a shot. On this day, this is all from my pea brain and my sieve-like memory. On this day, December 13th, in, I believe, 2000, hopefully somebody's going to correct me, I believe in 2003, John Ruiz beats Hasim Rahman and was subsequently awarded the WBA, I believe, World Heavyweight title, and that took place on this day in Atlantic City, maybe? I'm pretty sure it might have been Atlantic City. So maybe check my memory. And I also know that on this day in 1980, such and such, Marvin Camel knocked out somebody else, too, to win the first IBF World Cruiserweight title, and that one took place in Nova Scotia, I believe. That one was in Nova Scotia. So anyway, those are two that I think happened. I'm pretty sure. I might have the years wrong, but the date, December 13th, is not wrong. But anyway, make sure you tune in tomorrow. Oh yeah, I do have one more thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Oh, yeah, there's only one channel. It's a Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel line. If it's that simple, pick up the phone and call for all the information about Fight Now. You can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.